welcome. Let's go ahead and start it. It's about 7 p.m. October 30. Welcome all. I test that you can hear me, which is great. My name is Majed Al-Gandur. I'm a professor at UMUC, University of Maryland University College. I want to welcome all of you, including my session students and my other fellow professors, students, Professor Carey, Professor Parsna, and others. Welcome all. Thank you for your time to attend our Data 620, Data Management and Visualization. This is our second WebEx session for introduction for Python and Tableau. This session will be recorded and a link will be sent to your professor to be added to your course materials. Please be sure you have your microphone or phone is muted unless you want to ask any question. And to make this clear for everybody, so only the instructor presentation will be heard. We really appreciate that. Thank you, and let's go ahead and start. Welcome all. Last week, we covered Introduction to Python. We just wrote the first program, and we show you how you can use TryAccept, and we'll add more today about it. Also introduce how to use variables last week, and how to take the input from the users. And we did very simple demos to show you calculation and operations. Also, last week, in the second session of that last week, we introduced Tableau and how you can connect to your data like Excel, and how you to save that data, and how to save your workbook. And we work a little bit about a couple of graphs that we show you and will continue today. Today, our agenda for session 2, we're going to go in depth a little bit about Python using F and how you branch in F with F, else, and LF. Also, we'll show you how you can do iteration or looping, how you define functions. We're going to add also TryAccept, and how to read and write files. And also, finally, we'll go and show you how to work with lists and dictionaries. So we have a good demos. Hopefully, we can cover all of them. In this session also, we'll continue our first Tableau workbook that we did last week. And we're going to add more visualization charts and types, such as crosstabs, which probably did, tree maps, geographic maps, bar charts, scatter plots, trend lines. And the most important really is to show you how you can finalize your chart by dashboard and story. Then, of course, how you save that your work with TWBX extension. So let's go ahead and start with the Python. So when you work with F, it's very simple, like any other programming that you worked before. And we mentioned before, there is no braces in Python. So instead of having braces to tell this is the body of the F, and I call this is true blocks, and this is false blocks, based on the expression that you test, they put columns. And then as soon as you put the column, this kind will be tabbed like 4 spaces. So doing this, showing that these are belong to the block of the expression, if the condition or expression is being calculated correctly, and give it true statements, then the statement will be executed. Then when you're done, it will get out from the whole block of the F. What's happened if the expression is executed false results, he will go and jump to the else. And these are, again, because the column and with the tab, it tells you these are the blocks of the else, which is the false blocks. Now, this is where branching it. If you have multiple options and multiple testing that maybe have several possible answers as a true, so we're going to evaluate this. And now, instead of writing right away else, you will write something called LF. So LF, like other programming language, which we call else F. And that's exactly what you try to do. You try to execute this, and maybe the expression has another possible value. And remember the colon and the tab that's tell you these statements belong to the expression 2 if this is true, and this statement belong to expression 3. Now, if you're done with all these expressions, there's no possible value as a true, he will go and jump right away to the else, or he will jump right away back to up. All right, if you don't mind, just mute the phone. Thank you. The next part is how to do looping and in Python. So when you're doing this, you are using something called for statements. So you say for, and you have some iterative variable, can be anything, and you have n specific sequence, and that's the sequence can be anything. Can be collections, can be list, can be dictionary. You'll see those maybe in a couple of examples. Then what's happened, remember, there's no braces like other programming language. You have the colon and the tab. So a bunch of statements here with the same tab, which for spaces tell you these are the block. As soon as this statement go to the same level of the for, it does not belong to the for statements. So a very simple example, and you can see that here, and we're going to do demos later on. But let's go and look at it as a slide here. For your variable that you want to count for a looping or repetition called I, you can call whatever you want. In, so those are reserved keyword, in and for. Then now this is your repetitive, which is using another keyword, but you don't have to use that, range. And range give you from 2 to 6. So it will give you that value, and we try to print multiplication of those values. So if you look for the output here, very simple, you print basically 2 and 4, then it will hit again, it will increase because the range 3 and 9, then 4 and 16, then 5 and 25. Now the 6, as soon as you reach the 6, that's indication that you are done from the loop. So it will not go through the 6. So it's really like 2 to 5 in that terms. So that's exactly where the range, if you are using range with some numbers, so you can define the start point, you can start the stop point, and also the step, how much step you want to increase. If you didn't specify the step, by default, it is increased by 1. So 3 to 10 mean from 3 to 9, 0 to 4 means 0 to 3, and you can also start with negative, doesn't matter. -4 to 2 mean -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, and 1. So that's kind of the range to tell you get out from the loop. We'll say this example, basically. So we try to iterate, and you have a variable like 300,000 populations, and we talked about a couple of ways to print with format. You can use F, or you can use this style where you embedded with script 0 and 1, and those will be variable you're using after you get out from the string with dot format, and now the year is the 0, the population is the 1. So this is give you a good embedded string with the variable that you're interested to insert inside that print statement. So when you do that, you'll get like a year and parts and population. Then here's just to show you a simple loop or iteration. That's exactly what we have for year. Year is any variable, can be I and J and K, and this is in range. We use that the same concept, which is cool because you're doing iteration and you know how many iteration you want because the request from 2014 to 2018. However, we said if you put 18, it will not include it. So we increased 2019. So as soon as you reach 2019, which you covered your request 2018, then you're done from that. Then you can do a couple of tricks there for alignments. So you can use less than, and this is part of the formatting in that embedded location, the 0. Remember, the 0 is embedded with braces from here to here, refer to the first variable in the format function, which is the year. And you say, by the way, go ahead and align it. And you can see this align if you read general syntax here, less than, or you can use L_just, which means left justification. So now you can see that will be left justification. Then the next variable, which is when, and now you have a format. You can use a comma dot, or you can use dot to f. If you have commas, mean that you have a big numbers, you need 1,000, and maybe you want to use a comma between them. But if not, it's dot to f, which give you the decimal, and f stand for float. And this will be presented for this variable. And this variable is rounding pop, and the pop is population. So it will go and start with 300,000 and put that and 00. Then, since you see that the 4 tab here, or the 4 spaces with 1 tab, so these are 2 statements belong to the 4. If this guy, he's in the same level of the 4, he will execute only print and he got out, and you never get result like this. So just be careful where you put your statement inside the loop itself. So here we are just adding, and we're using plus equal trick. And this one, basically, we'll go ahead and let's see if this guy can maybe minimize it. There we go. And we are just adding 0.03 times population. So any calculation you can do, doesn't matter. And this is similar, I wrote it here with comment, similar to add equal population times 3% time population. So either one shorthand with plus equal operator, or you can do that standard like this. So what it does, it will go and do the calculation, come back, print it for you with nice format, and with a nice alignment. As soon as hit 2018, finish that. Now 2019, you tell them get out from the form. The next thing we'll talk about functions. To do functions in Python, you have to start with a keyword def, D-E-F. You cannot say definition, it's a def. And then you come with the function name. For simplicity here, we say hello. Then you put parentheses, and you have a choice to pass any values if you like, or maybe you're not interested to any values. In this case, we are passing a name. So name is a variable, temporary variable. Then you build the function, you put colon like this, and you will say, okay, with the colon, again, that's the body of the statement for the functions. With the 4 spaces, which 1 tab, tell you all these are part of the functions. So here, we're just printing hello. And here's another format also you can use for a string. So you use %, and the % is another symbol that will go and look outside your string and then say, what's this as a string? You look for the variable, which is called name, and the name is coming from that variable. So you design your function, and we'll see a couple of those examples when we go live in a demo. But now, this is useless until you call the functions. So now we call the function, say hello, and you pass the name that you see there, and you can call it again. And that's the beauty of the function. You design one time, and you pass different values. So that's kind of will be like a good library or a good function to be executed. So John will print for you John, Majed, Majed, Linda, Linda, Tom, Tom, and so on. So definitely interesting to see how many times you can call in designing one function. Excuse me. And that's exactly where I want to show you. So now you can organize your code. So you can say, well, here I'm just write them right away. But let's say, assume you call them from the main. So you can come with a very nice organize, and we'll see that in the demo as well, but let me explain it here. So define first function, define another function, main, and now because this is the first line will be executed because it is on the first space here. So main will be executed first thing. You go and look, oh, I have a function called main, and you can call whatever you want, start, go, and there's no parameter. He's not passing any parameter from the call. Then he say, okay, I'm calling, say hello. It's not print like built-in function. It is a function. He go and look for, do we have that function defined? Yes. Say hello. Then he has this string, we'll pass it there. So now the name will be my name, and now we'll take it here and print it back to you like this. When he's done, there's no more statement. He come back, executed, he come back to the next line, and so on. He say, oh, I'm calling John. He find that function again, and he said name is John now, and he print John. He's done. He go to the back to where he called. He will call this function, execute this function, come back, execute this function. Tom's done. Then there's no more, and that's done. We highlighted this last week, kind of advanced on it, but here it is. Always use try and accept. And try, you protect your code. And again, don't forget the colon and the tab. And the same try, you need accept. Then you have expressions where you put the exception types, and this is the colon, and with the tab tell you these are the handler. So this is general syntax of try and accept. So you write statements and you have several accepts because maybe you have different possible error or how you want to handle it differently. So you can have several accept 1, accept 2, accept 3. So these are all accept, and you define your exception name class as well. Then you have an option to say as, and you give the error name or the exception that you want to handle to define that, and we'll see those options as well in the demo. There's also another option, and anytime you see square brackets means an optional in Python, you can say, well, I'm done finally. Maybe you want to reset your variable, or you maybe want to close the file, or maybe want to disconnect your connections and so on. So this is very quick showing that, and this is where we showed to you last week in the demo. But if you try to say enter for me an integer, and then they get 5, you get the result back, convert it back because you concatenate it to a str number. So say it's entered, you enter a valid integer of 5, and everything good. Then print thanks. What's happened if the user by mistake they put 5 like this, F-I-V-E? So now that's caused problems because you try to convert int for this 5. There's no equivalent for that unless you give you this error, value error. So that's where you want to protect this code by try and catch or accept. And these are the exception class. So there's a lot of exception classes handled based on what you try to do. So if you try to do some arithmetics, there's an exception arithmetic errors. If you try to do some runtime or type run or value error, we saw that value error. And very good, they tell you what kind of error that you expect from this. So usually you want to run it, then you can protect it so you know exactly the value error is the exception that will be raised as well here. You can have maybe a raise or list, and that's where you have index errors. Maybe you want to have some input and output error exceptions to protect your file if the file is read-only and you try to write to it. The next topic that it's very important because you will practice this in your assignment as well. You try to read a file. And this file can be an Excel file, can be a text file, can be CSV file. And that's what we're going to also demo today for you, how you see that when we go to the demo section in a second. But let me go through this, kind of give you a good background. In Python, very simple. You have open functions, and you pass the file name, excuse me, and then you pass the mode. And here's the mode. Very simple strings. You say R if you want to read only, write W, and if you want to add for appending for the file, you put an A. The W will write and erase the previous file of the same file name, and then you lost what you wrote before. The A is an append, and that's where you will go and add to the previous data that you have. You have other options. Maybe you're not needed in this class, but it's called RB and WB if you try to read or write binary data. So the way it works, you define that open functions, define what is the file that I am trying to do some action, and the action W. If you try to read, you have to say R. But here in this slide, I'm trying to write. So when you do that, you assign this to what we call file handler object. And this is called anything. You can call it out file, you can write, say, FO, you can say out F, whatever you want to call it, it's just an object. And then by the benefit of this object, now you can get the dot and you use this method because now he knows this is an IO object. And using the method called write, and you can write whatever you want. You can write string like this, welcome to Python. You can write variables. You can do anything that you want to write to that file. As soon as you finish, the third step is to close the file. So still we're using that out file, and he knows out file is this file. Of course, if this file does not exist in the same path, you want to give it a path, and the path using the slashes and double quote as well. And you close that file. Then if you try to use this out file again, he doesn't recognize it, and he doesn't recognize it as any file object again, and that's what probably will give you an error. So definitely the close is the last thing you need to do. So if you want to write another statements, you should have them here in the middle between the file open and the file close. Here I just listed a couple of methods, and that's where you want to read. So maybe you want to read, and this will read certain numbers. You want to read the whole line. You want to read the whole data lines. And those are the three methods for the read. So you have choices and flavors to read specific number of lines and number of characters and read the whole thing as well. And definitely the read also will do the close. So that's fair enough. Let's go ahead and break the slide, hopefully. Let's minimize him. All right, so minimize this guy here. Okay, so I'll go ahead and I'll pull my IDLE for Python. So you type I DLE. Let me close these here. This update came in the middle here, consume some memory. Let me close him. And please we see this here. And let's try it again. IDLE. Here you go. And again, can be 3.7, 3.6, whatever dates you have in your machines. And so let's minimize this. All right, he's coming. All right, sounds good. All right, we mentioned that last week. This is called the shell. Definitely, when you want to write a script, and we insist you, if we ask you in the assignment to give us the Python file .py, give us that. So this is where you say new file, and then you save this file, save as, or save, and save as, and definitely does give you the extension that you need to do. So we mentioned that last week, but I'll just be sure that you are clear in that. So definitely don't do the work in the shell and give me a snapshot of it. It doesn't make sense because I cannot rerun this again and work with it as you see there. So definitely that's very interesting to see that, and you can see you save it as .py, and that's where the file that you give. So I will not create a new. I'll go ahead and say file. It's kind of running a lot of things here at the same time. Open. So I'll go to my desktop, pick up the demos for WebEx. And all right, so let's start with the function. So this is the function, a little bit different than the one that I show you on the slide, but the idea is the same. And I want just to show you that a little bit fancy there. So again, you can start anywhere you like. I'll go ahead and say, give me the main. So you can see the main's been written here. If you can see it. Let me close this guy. Let me maximize this. So the main here. Then in the main, you said colon, and you print that. And again, let me just type this so you can see what's happened when you say def. And you can say, you know, another function, for example. And you say, hello all. And you open parentheses. And as soon as you put the colon and you press enter, he kept it in the same line of that. And that's exactly what you will see its function. And you do whatever you want, you know, just say hello again here. Just to show your life, this is there. So you can add your functions, and this will be useless until, you know, you go and call it. And to call it, you just say hello all. And of course, case sensitive with the function that you want to say here. And so the start point here, he called this, he print this line, then the one that you just, now we do it together, he assumed going here, he'll print this, no more lines, he come back here and say, what's the next one? So the next one we say, oh, first name variable equal a value. Where's the value coming from? Oh, go get first name. So he said, oh, it looks like a function. It's not reserved. It's not built in. So he go there and try to find it in your code. It doesn't matter where it is. He said, oh, def get first name. And there's no parameters, so everything good. He didn't pass anything here. So he's happy matching here. Then you ask here, enter your first name. You get that first name and return is part of that functions. So I'm going to return this variable back to you here. So he has some value, and this value coming to this guy, and say, oh, I have some value called first name. And beauty of this, you can call whatever you want. This is a temporary here, and this is your variable in the main. So really, you can call them the same, you can call them different, it's your call. So now this guy, he has a value. Then the next line say, okay, last name equal a value. Where's this value? The same story. He go and say, oh, it looks like there's another function called last name. There's no parameter. I'll get that last name, return it back to you. So we'll go and take this value. He got that too. Then the next line, oh, current salary equal a value. There's no value. There's no 8,000 or 10,000. Oh, you call a function. You go there. He asks you, what's your salary? Now we start, because those are numeric, you put them either integer, float is good. So that's give you, if you put like, you know, any numbers with decimal. So you get this value, you return it. So you got this value, you shake it back to this guy. And now you got this here. Oh, I'm calling another, or calculating a new value called new salary. So we're going to say, oh, okay, I have another function. I'm using this value that getting from the user. So now looks like there's a function here with some parameter. And here it is in front of us. We don't need to scroll up. Here it is with that. So whatever they enter it, whatever you get from here through this function, will come back here. You do very simple math. Check F. If it's less than 40, for 40,000. So take 1.05 for any reason. If not, that's where you go to the else and you return. Again, you can have another temporary variable and return that calculation, or you can do it one line. Nothing wrong with that as well. So now you take 2,000. If this greater than 40,000, then get 2% and minus that 4,000. So whatever calculation you do based on your business logic, whatever calculation you want to do, at least this guy will return a value, and this value now will be shaped return back to the new salary, excuse me. And now you get this value, you get last name, first name, all these are here, and you calling display result. Oh, another function. You can see how nice you organize your code in this term here. So you take first name, last name, new salary. These are really, you can call them FLS, doesn't matter, because they'll be matching with this real value, this real value, this real value. So these values will be there, and you're doing nothing more than display. You can use print, you can use those strings. So 0 mean here, 1 mean here, and 2 mean here. Then we say, oh, let me give you more format for the number. So you put a colon inside that, braces for the 2, and you give me a comma, give me a decimal point, 2 decimal digits, and float. You need to be in this order. If you try to do a different order, probably will give you an error. So with that, you can see you will get the new salary is the 2, and then you print it back. So let's go ahead and run it. I think I explained it enough. So we'll see that now, because I changed. You see this star there. Be sure you save it. Even when you run it, we'll ask you to run it with save. So you can press F5, and when it does, we'll go and shell the result, and you see hello all came from this guy being called, and there is a print this line that's in the main, hello all. Now he's asking enter your first name, so I'll go ahead and just put my name here. Enter your last name. Another call came on, so let's go ahead and put mine here. Enter your salary. Let's put $100. And now in your salary with the ratios here, less than 40,000, you take 105 based on the logic of your code, and you're done. You see that? So definitely it helps to work with that. So now let me break it. So I'll go and run this again. And so definitely you don't want to see that. That's what's the problem. And you can see it give you the line error, and definitely we don't want to see that when we run your code and script. So you can see the error. Say, well, this called, I cannot transfer the float to the 100, and these are caused some issues there. You scroll down, and you can see cannot convert float from the string 100, and so on. So definitely that's where you want to embed it, your try and catch. In each of these, you put the try and catch, and that's what helping you to do that. All right, so let's go ahead and open the second one. So I show you the function. Let me show you again. If I open demo 2, this is what we did last week. So you just put a try, and we can do that, but I have a lot of demos to show. And this is the accept. So you protect all your code when you say, hey, give me some values, and then you put accept, and you can put the value of the errors. And the value of errors, as we said, is very clear when you see that, or you can more generic. Here's the error that you want to handle, and show it there. So there's a lot of way to do try and catch. So you go try and catch here. This one probably it's no big deal, but when you start putting here, this is where you say try and catch. And again, a call catch is accept. Teaching different programming language. Okay, cool. So this is I want just to share with you. So this is where we did that. So go back if you want. If you have a question, let me know. All right, let me close this so we can have another topic here. Open. And I want to go and show you the I/O. So I'll go and close the shell in the back. So this is a new program. It's a new demo. And this is where just to show you write and read. So I have a couple of variables here like palm here, and I never saw a man who looked with such wistful eye upon the little tint of blue, which prisoner is called the sky. So you can see, you saw with that, then you concatenate those strings together. So the final is this everything. So here's good to see the try here. Always when you try to use the code in Python, especially reading or writing, definitely try is the way to go. So you type the try, and then so you type the try, be sure that you have your code being tabbed. Now we can tab them inside, doesn't matter, but don't tab them in the left side. If you tab them in the left side, mean they are not part of the try. See that? So we show you how to do open statements. So open, here's the file. Assume that this file will exist in the same location where you are sitting, where you open the file. Of course, you can give it a path. You can put it in the C, D drive, temporary, and so on. So we try to write. The method called write for this object, again, can be out file, but we call file here. And you write the string, which is everything. Then you close. Then we can go and see the file, but we say, let me show it to you back here. So we open the file that we created, and we say R, read it. And now you want to read. The file has several lines. Why? Because the /n. See those /n? That's a new line, advanced. So like enter. So you really, literally, you have 4 lines, and you want to read them. So if you say just read, probably read the first one, you're done. That's what the loop is helpful. So for your iteration variable line can be I, J, K. Usually use a better variable like you can see there. And in the file is what you try to read. It's a collection. Basically, it's coming like a list for you. And that's where this file will read everything and open it for you. And you say, okay, let's go ahead, take that file and go ahead and tab this line. So line by line. And one of the print statement, if you go to the print, you see that you can say, hey, give me /n. One of the options can say, hey, give me and you can put whatever you want as a delimited character. You can put semicolon, you can put comma, and so on. Then I'm done. Close this file. Remember, these file one together, these file one together. Now, if this confuses you, call this input file, read file. This is output file, output file, output file, read file, read file, read file, and so on. Doesn't matter. So when you close it, he destroyed it. So you can reuse it again. Now we say, okay, let me write again more. So now I'm using the append. I write a couple of statements, Oscar, write my name, and close. So now you can see we're doing 3 I/O in Python. You see it there. And if something happened in the whole code, which is protected end of the try, see I'm highlighting, he said, oh, okay, there's some problem there, and we'll go and look for the error. So you can give any customized message you like, and then you concatenate it with the error that's coming from Python, so you can see what's the error from the Python, plus your message to the users. And you can print another line. Remember, these should be tabbed as a part of the accept. These are part of the block. All right, so that's being said. So let's go ahead. Let me go to the directory. Hopefully I still have it there. I'll go and delete this. We did that last semester. So I'm deleting it. There's no POM file here. And resize this. And let's go ahead and run it. So ready to go. Run. Here we go, right? Generate a file. You open the shell. That's not good. So I have to close it maybe. Let's see. This happened one time. Okay, there you go. So we assume that it's written to the file. And this is really what you see here is the read part here. So that's what we see there. And then we're going to add another thing. We did not read it again. So you can see now the file, you expect to see everything, including my name and the Oscar. Let's go back to the directory. And, I can see it, but let me say modify by. Here you go. At 740. Wow, time's running. And here you go. And this is the file. And this is exactly what we wrote. The 4 statements. We wrote this one as well. And we wrote written by. And put /n to give you a break in those. Okay, great. Okay, I think that's good. Let's go open the last one. Okay, I'll go and do list. Okay, the list similar to an arrays in different programming language like Java, C++, Sharp, JavaScript, and so on, PHP, and so on. The way you do list is using what we call it here, square bracket. So you can define anything you want equal square brackets. And when you do that and you print the list, it'll give you blank. To fill the list, and the beauty of the list, you can do a lot of things. And the list is very powerful. Dictionary is very powerful in Python, and that's what you want to go and work with that as well. So here's, you say, give me the name. We call it X list, and 3, 1, 2. We're going to create the list. Then you can print the list, and you can print this list, and also you want to print another list. However, we are retrieving element in the list, which is 2, and that's give you 0, 1, 2. So the value is 2 for the index 2. You see there. You can go negative, and negative give you from the right side. So that's again give you also this 2. You can replace the item in the list by the index number. So now I'm replacing the 2 by my name. So you should see that when you print this again. Again, we can run that in a second here. Let me go ahead and run it. Here you go. It's a big list. I designed it, but here it is. So hopefully you can follow that. So we replace. So anytime you replace, you just take the index position in new value. And the beauty of the list, you can have, different data type. You have numbers, you can have text, and that's what exactly. So somewhere here. Now the beauty of the list, there's more function like you append. So take that list, which is called XS, append, and you put another data, and then you print it, and that's exactly, it's here. So we're going to lock it to the end of that list. And then there's more functions, and I recommend to check that in the resources. So pop, it will return the last element in the list. So that's will return for you the last element of the pop. So mean that you can assign to a value, and you can print it, and that's exactly where this bar is the pop for print X here in this line here. Then now pop will remove it. So what's left is really this list. Make sense? And then you have print blank line, And print the list again, just show you there's no more bar at the end. You can do looping in the lists, similar to what we mentioned earlier on the loop before. So now your animals, cat, dog, monkey, is the list. You take I, J, K, or animal. Don't use animals, use animal, not animals, or I, J, K, and print that. When you do that, it will give you the items as you see it there, because you printed cat, dog, and monkey. And if you want to print the list, it will give you very nice square bracket and the data as you see it there, which is very nice. So this is item through the rotation on the loop. This is the list itself. Then new line, here's a new line. Then another example, you can have sales, and now you iterate in the sales, the same concepts, so you get those result back here. Now, if you have this guy there, he will not print anything for you, so just be careful. Then you have variables, and the variable has a values. You design the list from the variable. You don't have to have the value in the list. You can have a variable. The variable has a values. You can do that. Then when you do that, you can print them again. So that's what we're printing this back here. Couple of minutes for dictionary, and dictionary is similar to the list, except it has more key and a value, key and a value, and to separate those using the column, key, column, value. So those like a hash. So you have a key and a value, they are together, they are pair. So if I say cat, I know the value cute. If I say dog, very, and so on. You don't have that here. These are indexes, 0, 1, 2. Here in dictionary, they use key and a value. Also, they use braces. In the list, they use square brackets. So those kind of major difference if you see there. So very simple. Let's go and see what's happened. Here you go. D is the cat, dog, and you print them with the key and the value as printed. So print that, Can we see? Now, you can go, as we said, by the index number. There's no 0 here. Using the cat is your key. So instead of print cat, he will give you cute. Then print cat, is cat in the dictionary. And this is good when you do the text mining exercise. You want to check, do we have that? Especially when you talk about something called stop words. You want to be sure that you don't want to count those. So, or you want to count those. So this is very powerful functions. Is the cat in the dictionary? Yes, true. Is the car in the dictionary? No, false. So those hopefully give you good values. You can now design a new element, a new key, a new value, and now you can print it back here. And now what's happened, if you go and print the new dictionary, you will see now you added another key and a value. So hopefully this helped working with that. Finally, you can iterate those as well. So here's your dictionary, and you iterate and you do certain formats. All right, I have a couple of minutes. Let me back now to the slide. So in the Tableau, I'll go ahead right away, hit there. But we'll go ahead and show you a couple of things and how to build a dashboard. All right, let me close this. No, I won't say anything. Let me close this. All right, so I opened this because it takes some time sometimes, but this is where we did last week. If you remember, we connect to an Excel file, and the way that works, you go, file, connect when you go like here, when you open the other one here, you go open to Excel, and it will go and try to connect to the Excel, and we connect to the Excel file or CSV file or whatever source you have here. And as soon as you connected, or not connected, already connected there, and then you can see the file. So I'll go and close this. I need 2 sessions. So you got the orders being there, drag it. Then we did that last week, I believe. Hopefully still running. And this is what we did last week. Couple of the graphs. And one of them, so this is called Crosstab. What we did, we dragged a couple of values from either dimension and measures. So we did that, and we got mode and regions. We did last week as well tiles or Crosstab by tiles, and we said you can change whatever you want by show me, and you work with these as well. Then we can go ahead and just add one more chart, and we'll build the dashboard. So assume that you want to look for the sales, and again, you can drag it to column or rows, or you can drag it to the graph. So there's a lot of nice ways, and you will have fun with it because it's very, very easy to work with. And let's go ahead and, for example, get the city. So you can see there's a couple of things there, and you can see it's huge. Of course, you can see there's a lot, about 9,000 records, and you can see you have to have the whole thing. So you can go standard. You can say fit the width, entire view. So this is the entire view, so you can see the whole thing. It's crazy, a lot of record there. Or you can just standard view. You can, of course, you can view it from here as a PowerPoint as well. So this is cool. You can see the work here, so you can entire view. You can change this to nice graphs. So now you can make circles, and you can start saying, wow, that's cool. So let's go ahead and get some stuff in it by shape mode. I'll go and take the shape mode, put it in the color. Now, very nice. I love that. So you can see that, very beautiful. And you can add a lot of things, very nice. So this is about 9,500 records. It's still a story, one slide, one sheet, you can see there. So definitely that's interesting. Of course, be sure you rename the sheet. So let's call this is circles, whatever you want to call it. Sales. Modify this. You can add, for year 2017, assume that's 2017. So now you can see it's there. You can align it. You can make font and so on. You can change the color to maybe red. Apply, okay. So now you got something like that. You can make it bold. There you go. So definitely that's cool. So we can do a lot of things related to these charts. The next chart I want to do, or I forgot, I want to do some trend lines. So definitely trend lines, you need some order date somehow, or shipping date, something like that. So order date, you put columns. And let's go ahead and say, hey, show me the sales or the profit. Let's put the profit, and you can see that. So now let's show you for the years. And the beauty of Tableau, they have hierarchy for the date itself. So now you can click on those pluses, and you can see now these are quarters. You go to the quarter plus them. You can see they are. I'll take this out here. So months and days, depending about the trend and the hierarchy for the cube, how much data that you have when you put that in Excel. So definitely you can collapse that and say, well, let's go and do some formatting. So let's go to the month. So that's nice vibration for the month trend. And then drop down from here. I use this format I called May 2015. So this is cool. We'll go right click here. You can see everything you want. You can click anywhere and right click and say, show me the trend lines, show me the trend lines. And that's maybe you'll do a couple of exercises like this. So that's beautiful. Tell you this is the best fit line, but maybe not, you know. So you have to go and see the p-value, the r-square. You can see there's a lot of data outside, especially the peaks. So r-square is not significant. The p-value, yeah, a little bit significant. So you can play with this. You go and say, show me edit trend line. Then say, maybe we'll take this guy a little bit, give him some exponential or logarithms. Or maybe none of these, polynomial. So start now, polynomial. Again, it will be a very complicated model in real life here, but here it is, kind of a little bit fat and so on. So you can go with any degree you like, or you just leave it linear at this moment. Then you can show the bandwidth of kind of confidence interval, 95 or whatever percent you have. And then say, okay. Then when you click, you can see, kind of tell you these are the trends possible there. You can go and look for the model now. You can say again, describe the trend line model. So you can see some information about that. Tell you this is a relationship between month order date and there's an intercept and there's coefficients and all that part of the r-square and p-value. So give you standard errors and t-value, t-student and p-value. So it's good. You can copy that for analysis and work with it. The next part, you can remove this, a trend, and say show not, take it out. And the last part maybe you want to do, go ahead and say, click on it again and do forecast and show forecast. This is another trick you can do very nicely on Tableau here. And you can see now the last 2014 is the data. Now you can see it's a little bit different color. And they are here, if you see them here, actual and estimate. So this is the estimate, and it'll tell you what's been estimate. You can go right click anytime and say forecast, show me my options, and it tell you, oh, by the way, you did this, automatic, next 13 months, no, I think the question was for the next 5 years, 6 years, whatever, let's go 5 years. Now we can see how good trend, and you can, if there's a missing value, which is very cool, you can mute those missing values by the code here. Then you can see, remember that intervals, the default is 95. You can be more accurate, 99, or you can go to back to 95 or 90. So you have a lot of options. The forecast method, there's a lot of detail there. If you're interested, click this hyperlink, tell you about how they came with this model and so on. But you can also specify specific years. You go, you know, and you can go by days, by weeks, by months. So it'll be very crazy, you know, when you do that. Definitely we'll go and say, hey, give me just 5 years and say, okay. So when you're done, if you're comfortable with that forecast, again, you can go change that sheet, forecast. Sales 2000 to 2019. Again, this is cool. Keep handy the sheets. So that's been done. The next step is to go and build a dashboard. So the dashboard, new dashboard. And it's very easy. You see all the work there. You just drag them. And the position tell you, it's not really fancy here, but you can say, let me park here. Let me park here. And I'm going to put them in 2 dashboards. So this is one. So create another dashboard. Again, you can name them. That's a sheet, sorry. Dashboard here. Delete this here. So I call this DB1, call whatever you want. This one is DB2. So we got the first 2. And usually when you dump those things here, there's a story there. but just for the time being, we are just put them together here. You can resize. There's a good options here. You can put an image, website, and so on. So finally, when you're done, you go to the last button here. It's called story. Of course, you can find these also, from here, dashboard, story. Definitely, we're going to use the buttons here. So the story is the last thing you need to do, and that's what you'll do to present your assignments. So very simple, like slideshow. So you can say, here's my sales, and you add another one, blank. Here's my, forecast, for example, just the time running here. And you go back to the cells. Now you can see you can put sheet if you don't like to have two. The dashboard give you 2 sheets, 3 sheets, but you can go back and say, oh, I want to do just only 1 sheet. You can do that. But let's go ahead and put the dashboard to get the benefit. So you drag it here. And you go to the forecast and drag your forecast. Right? Then you can add more, conclusion, summary, whatever. Definitely go and change your story one to annual report, maybe. And definitely you can go and click on it and say, this is for fiscal year 2019, for example. So you got the story, you're done. You go there, and here's your presentation. You tell us what's going on here, you highlighted. Of course, you can adjust things. We did that last week with the filters. So now you can see, show me that, and you can see things change all. See everything change. Show me just tracks. Show me tracks. And you can see the result of the tracks. You can go forecast, and we didn't do any filter here today, but you can do filters, and you can see the result there. When you're done, just there. Escape, and you're done. So last moment, go ahead and save file, save as. And we learned that last week. Be sure you save it TWBX, not TWB. So your data will be embedded when you submit it to somebody. And you go ahead and say save. And we're going to replace last week, even we kept the same date. All right. 8:02, based on the time, I will open for any question, please. Unmute and ask any question if you have. I'll give you a couple of minutes. It's 8:03 here. Of course, if there's no question now, I understand. Let us know. Contact your professor and FAs. Personally contact me if you have any questions about today's session. And let's give 1 more minute, see if there's any question. Okay. I hope this is very helpful, and I appreciate your time. There's a lot to do, but again, we are here to help to make your class successful, me and my colleague professors and our FAs. If you have any question, let us know, and wish you a good night. And with that, if there's no more question, we can adjourn. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Kristen. Oh, there's some chatting here. Let's see. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you very much for the comments. A great presentation, and great everybody to have you here. Thank you very much. All right.